What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Comment Writers. We are a Kamen Rider review podcast. Today we're going to talk about Kamen Rider Gotchard, episode 46. I'm your host, Josh Meek, the Uber Geek, and I'm joined as always by my good friend, Toby Tobes. How's it going, Toby?
Today we're going to talk about the controversy rocking the Paris Olympics, Josh.
Okay, I'm excited. What might this be?
So there's a lot of dumb bullshit ones that we're not going to talk about.
Yep.
Because that's the rabbit hole I don't go down, because there's takes from stupid people and shit like that. The most important one, though, Josh, is apparently the pool in the Paris Olympics is slow.
The pool is slow?
Yes. So in the span of like 15 seconds before I started talking to you, I found out that there's a recommended depth of Olympic pools, and it's supposed to be 3 meters. With the thought process being that because from everyone paddling and slamming their arms and everything else, it makes turbulence, but the turbulence goes underwater.
Oh, okay.
So like 3 meters is like the suggested depth of the pool to keep the pool quick and not have the turbulence come back up and bounce up and everything else. Apparently the Paris Olympics here, the pool is like 2 meters or 2.25 meters or something.
Oh.
And that's why like all of the fastest male swimmers, like no one's broken a certain, I think it was like 56 seconds or 59 seconds in the short race. And they're like, why is no one going fast this year? And then there's a huge conspiracy now. That's because the pool is the pool is shallow, which causes more turbulence, which makes you slow down, naturally or unnaturally. And it's rocking the internet as we speak.
So I have 2 thoughts here. First of all, being slower is like kind of best case scenario. Because if it was faster, then you'd have people grousing about like, oh, well, that was the Paris pool, so that record you set doesn't count because the pool wasn't deep enough, and we're just going to write that out of the books, and that'd be a whole thing, right? So the fact that it's slower is good because then all the record people don't have to complain. And if it's slower for everybody. So then they all can still compete against each other at this Olympics, right? So the only people that suffer are the people who can't set a record who otherwise maybe would have. Which
you only get a couple shots at that, though.
Yeah, but who cares? You made it to the Olympics. You probably got gold. Who cares? It doesn't matter. You can calm down.
They hand those out like candy. Like everyone gets a gold, I feel like.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And my other thought is, like, aren't there, it feels like there should be like rules and specifications. Like when you're out there, you know, you're the IOC, you're the Olympic committee, and like your Olympic city is making a pool. I feel like you should just give them exact specifications. Like it needs to be this long, this wide, this deep. Like how does this happen? It just seems strange if you custom build a pool for this exact purpose that it wouldn't be correct. That's so strange.
I feel like no one just really cares. No one cares until they care. Like everything else in the world. No one cares until they care.
I think every Olympics, the pool should be like different shapes. It's like this time it's a donut shape. Fuck it. I don't know. Like it's just gonna, if you can get first, I guess you make it around all the way. I don't know. This one has an underwater section for some reason. We just close off the top. This one has a fire area. Like that sounds way better. That's what the Olympics should be.
I also found out this year that, I never watched a bunch of sports, but I have a cheater box now. So the Olympics are on like 24/7 in this house, just like replays the days before and everything else.
You got to define cheater box for people.
I'm not paying for a specific service like Hulu or Peacock. I'm paying for a mysterious service that has like channels from Germany and Europe and things like that.
I like that you have that because I haven't heard of those existing since like when I was a child and my dad had one for like a brief time.
It's a digital cheater box, we'll call it.
Nice. Okay, go ahead.
But yeah, I have like 25 Olympic channels to watch. So like we're all over the place. We're all over the place here. But like I never watched a bunch of judo until the other day.
Oh,
like judo in general, like judo, the sport as a thing, into judo, the sport of the Olympics. But like, it's a lot of just pulling on each other's sleeves and then trying to throw people over your shoulder.
I think that's specifically judo. Yeah, like there's a lot of throws in judo
it's all
like that. Yeah,
and you get yellow cards for just doing defense the whole time. which I thought was interesting.
That is interesting. Well, you got to punch this guy. What are you doing? Get in
I
there.
know there's no punches. Like there's literally like no aggressive acts like that,
Right,
because that's
right.
also a yellow card. It's literally just like you have to keep trying to grapple each other and try to do wrestling moves to throw each other over your shoulder.
Not to besmirch any judo aficionados that are out there, but that seems like a lame martial art. Like if
It's
you're gonna
interesting.
do martial art, pick one that does cool kicks and stuff at least. You know,
But I
that's
think
that's,
in judo,
that's my thoughts. That's all. Go on.
I think in judo it's 2 bronze medals every time, like per weight
What?
class. It's like gold, silver, bronze, bronze.
They give out 2 bronzes.
Yeah, like I thought there was like noticed the first one. I thought there was a tie, and I was like, that seems weird. I don't know how you get a tie, but like whatever, I'll let that go. And then I noticed like they did a second or third ceremony, and there was again 2 people that got bronzes, and I was like, I don't know how this works.
I don't either. That seems illegal. There should only be 1 bronze.
But yeah, so
Listen,
judo. So I know judo words now, and I think I vaguely understand the vibe, but it seems like nonsense.
I watched. Speaking of weird sports to watch, well, actually, I watched the women's street skateboarding finals, which was actually really good. As someone who like vaguely keeps up with skateboarding a little bit, like a very casual fan of skateboarding, it's fun to watch like really good skateboarders, and it's fun to hear commentary where I like kind of know what's going on and kind of know what the tricks are, and then I'll be like, oh, I think that was this, and then hear the commentary confirm what I saw. That's always fun. So that was a legit fun thing to watch. And the women in that are the coolest kids you've ever seen. And I say kids specifically because they were like 14 to 16 was the age range in the women's street skating. Can you imagine like a 14-year-old being like the best skateboarder in your country and going to the Olympics for it, and then being like out there alone on the skate park trying to rip cool tricks? Like that's such a weird concept for like a 14-year-old. Like thinking what I was doing at 14 versus what like she's doing at 14 is just so strange. Like I was trying to get really good at like Guitar Hero or something, and she's like she's literally plying her crafts at the grandest stage. But we watched we watched a little bit of fencing. Um,
Fencing is like fencing is like the equivalent of judo but swords. Like
100%.
there's no actual damage being dealt. It's just like going for taps.
It's exactly what I was going to say. Like fencing in theory sounds awesome, but it is the lamest sport because, well, one, there's 2 types of fencing. There's one where you just have to touch them with the tip. You can only touch them with the tip. And then there's one where you can touch them with anywhere on the sword. I know it's not called a sword, but we're going with those terms. But in both forms, especially the one where you just touch with the tip, I know, sorry, the other way around, especially the one where you can touch anywhere with the sword. All it is like them saying like on guard, like go, and then just 2 people lunging at each other. And it's like it all happens so quickly. And so 2 people lunge, and then both people start celebrating in a way that seems like it's like supposed to influence the judges. Because like if you both lunge and you both think you tapped and then you scream the loudest, like maybe they think like, oh, well, he clearly got it then because he's celebrating.
It's funny you mentioned that. So like during judo, we watched, it was mainly like the women's matches were on.
Oh yeah.
The best girl from France was in the semis, and like I can only explain to you the way she did her match as like a classic heel in wrestling, because it's the same way I explained it in the house of like she would go for like a grab, get like thrown offish, and she would instantly look towards the camera, like literally towards the camera, look towards a ref, and then do the shrug with your hands up of like why didn't you count the pin? Didn't you see that? What is this? And she did it every time. Anytime anything bad happened to her, it was always like the Jim from The Office looked to the camera, and then like the shrug of, well, what? Like what's supposed to happen here? Like I didn't use the steel knuckles. I don't know.
That's so
Like,
sick.
like the whole time, and then she lost because she whined. Like she didn't lose because she was whining, but she whined the whole time and then lost. And I just thought it was fitting that like
That's perfect.
like it was basically like it was definitely like the pure heel move of, at one point she got hit in the mouth accidentally, so she like called a timeout, she walked off the stage, got some medical attention,
Makes a big show of it. Yeah.
made a big show, came back, and like every time past that she would keep like touching her lip like she was dying, and then like looking at the ref and like putting her hands up like, why wasn't this a point? What happened here? Like, what's going on here?
Oh
And
my
it was the
gosh.
most annoying, best thing ever.
I saw one of the men in that same vein. He lost and he refused to leave like the sword fighting area, and he just screamed at the judges. So he was like pacing the stage back and forth, berating the judges while the guy who won was like celebrating behind him. And it was like, bro, you're supposed to be like an Olympian representing your country right now. like I get you get upset about things, and I get that it's very serious for you, but like you look like an asshole. So I'm pretty sure fencing is just filled with assholes is what it sounds like to me.
It could be.
Yeah, it might just be like that where all the jerks go to compete. I don't know.
Speaking of where all the jerks and assholes go,
Yeah.
Josh, we have a Patreon.
We do. Wait, one last thing about the Olympics real quick, because I gotta look more in the sport. But like women's air pistol, I saw some pictures from this today, and they all wear these like glasses that make them look like they're straight out of like Metal Gear Solid or something. Like they have like a cover over one eye, and they have like a weird little like zoom lens thing on the other eye. They look like future robots or something, except for this one woman who's just wearing like regular glasses. And it was so funny, the like juxtaposition of like future warrior, regular Japanese woman, future warrior. It's
Yeah,
very, very good.
looking at the pictures now, these goggles, they both half look cool and half look lame as shit.
Yes.
Like there's like a piece of paper over one eye, and like this one lady has a cover over her other eye still, and some ladies have some other stuff. And like this looks weird. I never heard of this one. And then real quick before we go to the Patreon thing, the weirdest thing to me is like this Olympics introduced a couple new sports too, but even like skating making it to the Olympics, like punk X Games skating, whatever, like making it to the Olympics seemed weird to me. Of like, wow, this is a weird thing of acceptance. And now they have like breaking, like breakdancing.
I'm so excited to watch breaking. Yeah,
and a bunch of random things like that. And it almost seems weird or like fake. Of like, we need to add new hype things to keep people involved, but not
sure.
like in the spirit of what the Olympics should be.
I think the Olympics is pretty slow to adopt sports. Like for as many sports as are in the Olympics, like I know the skateboarding stuff that people worked like really hard for a really long time to get that in. It wasn't just like we should do skateboarding in the Olympics, and it was like, okay, yeah, sure. Like it was like a years long like campaign, I guess, to like get it in and get it respected and all this crap. But like, yeah, you're right. It probably also like super helps in terms of like, oh, there's excitement. There are all these like there are new sports, and people are going to tune in to see the weird new sports. Like as soon as I heard breaking was in the Olympics, I was very excited and wanted to see it. So yeah, like it worked for me.
Apparently, the biggest obstacle for skateboarding is that the sport can include death as like a I fucked up thing.
Sure.
So they really don't want legal responsibility of if someone accidentally dies.
Interesting. I hadn't heard that. I guess lots of sports can though, right? Like learn lots of sports where even like swimming and stuff, like you can overexert yourself and die.
Yeah, but sure, but like, yeah, I guess so. But that's like extra. Like the skateboarding, I guess, because they do. I haven't watched all this year. I guess from the park stuff, like I guess you can just fall and bust your ass, and
yeah, you can die. Here's my controversial take. I think more Olympic sports should feature more danger of death.
Those are called the extreme games.
Okay, well, I should watch that more, I guess.
Yes, you should.
I think they should do archery, but like set up the competitors on opposite ends shooting at the same time or something. You know, like really just let's ramp this up. You think you're an elite athlete? Let's see it.
What if they made fencing into archery, and you both shot arrows at each other after the beep went off, and whoever got shot first, like whoever shot the shot that didn't get hit first, got the point.
What if we did fencing, but they made them take off the clothes and then sharpened the swords? That'd be good too, right?
That's called sword fighting.
Yeah. There'd be a lot less jerks in that sport. That's how it worked.
Speaking of jerks in places, we got a Patreon.
Patreon. Patreon.com/thecommentwriters is where you can find that. For just $3 a month, you get access to all of our bonus content that we post. Right now, we are doing a watch along with the Super Sentai Boon Boomger, which is very fun. And we are have now, I guess, started. We're like episode 7, 8 in to Kamen Rider O's as well, which is our vintage Kamen Rider we are watching through, which is a lot of fun too. You can watch those along with us if you sign up for the Patreon. You also get access to our Discord where all sorts of nonsense happens. You can join up and learn about movie theater pickles and all sorts of other horrific things that get talked about throughout the week. So $3 a month, patreon.com/the comment writers to get access to all that awesome stuff. Toby, one of the other ways that people can interact with us is via email. And that email address is cast@commonwritersucks.com. Once again, that is cast@commonwritersucks.com. And we have an email this week coming in from our friend Shade. Shade has some news for us. Shade, first of all, is telling us that the main lead for Kamen Rider Gav has been announced. The person's name is Hidekazu Chinen. So we've got the image out there. We have the actor. We know who it is, which is the same person from those leaks we mentioned before. And the actor, of course, had some words to say, basically like, "Oh, there's a lot of history here. There's a lot to live up to, but I'm going to do my best. Yay!" That sort of a thing.
Good job, actor.
This actor, of course, as Gav, was actually in the Gotchard Future Daybreak movie in a cameo. So moviegoers have now seen him and seen Gav's transformation. I assume you haven't seen that yet because they did actually leak out. Someone filmed it in the theater.
Nope. Still hiding. It's still hiding my head in the sand for another month.
I'm so excited for you to see it and for me to watch it with you. And it's going to be great. It's going to be really good. And then Shade says, on the topic of Gav leaking, I guess Toei got tired of all the leaks, so they decided to leak the show themselves because the Toei Tokusatsu fan club has just announced an advanced screening of Kamen Rider Gav episodes 1 and 2 on August 25th, a whole week before the show actually premieres on September 1st. So that's interesting.
So I have a question for you then. Are we starting the show early, or are we waiting until the show comes out?
I think we do. I think time permitting, right? Because like, there's an amount of like, time in a week, and then we got we'll be recording the Gotchard episode that week, and we'll have the bonus stuff to do too for the Patreon. So maybe we won't have time, but like, I think it'd be fun to start early if we could. Yeah.
What if whenever Gav leaks, we just stop Gotchard?
You just want to get up to like the last 2 episodes of Gotchard or last week of Gotchard, and then just be done with it.
Yeah, like episode 48 comes out. Like I'm sure there'll be like some of the stories wrapping up. I think if Gav comes out, like we got to keep up with the times.
I love the idea that you want to stop one episode before we're done with Gotchard. Just be like, no, it's just over. That's fine. I'm sure everything wrapped up nicely. It's fine.
I mean, think about like, to use my favorite horrible example, the last episode of X-Aid was fantastic and a good stopping point. The new last episode of X-Aid that came out after the last episode was way worse. So like, if Gotchard wraps up on like 49-ish, there's no reason to watch 50.
Yeah, but but that episode that you're talking about in X-Aid was like a bonus little like extra like release. It wasn't part of the main show. Like it was billed as like the true ending. Yeah, but like it wasn't the main show. Like imagine if we had just like not watched the last actual episode that was actually good of X-Aid.
I don't know.
Right.
It could have stopped at 49. We said a bunch of times like, wow, he killed Cronus 7 times now. When is he gonna stop killing Cronus?
Well, we'll see. When we get up to this point, we can make a game time decision whether you're going to quit watching Gotchard or not. I'm going to watch the last one.
Episode 50 is going to be Josh watched it and I didn't. And Josh is going to... It's going to be like the unabridged dramatic reading of the episode.
I want that one to just be like... That episode to just be like me being like, you're right, we shouldn't have watched it. It was not worth it. Shade goes on to say, in other news, the Kamen Rider Gotchard and Boon Boomger movie is out, And both Hodoro and Taya have something to say. And then Shade links a little video, which I made you watch as well. If you want to tell the people what you saw in that little video clip.
It's Hodoro and Taya just screaming at each other at the top of their lungs, like, we're the best. We're in movies. Wow, we're in movies together. Wow, you're the movies. Wow, movies.
It's incredible. They're, again, at the top of their lungs, screaming as loud as they can, just like acting like complete fools. Which feels like it fits for Hodoro a little bit and feels very out of character for Taya, which makes it super fun. Shade says it's hard to believe these two are the same age IRL sometimes, which I didn't know. And that's really hard to believe. I would have thought Taya was like mid-20s we were talking about before we started recording. It's crazy to think that Taya is as young as Hodoro is.
Yeah, because I mean, obviously it's characters and how their characters are written and crafted and everything else. But like Taya definitely presents as like a smooth adult, and Hodoro definitely presents as like teenage kid, youthful hype, and it's like crazy that like so I guess it makes them good actors.
Yeah,
You know,
totally.
whatever.
Yeah, they're good at their job. She then tells us about a little inconsequential cameo that is in the future Daybreak movie. Of course, we knew already that Legend was going to be in the movie, but turns out actual Kamen Rider Decade is also there. So they got the actor back again, and he's in the movie too. Of course, Legend is kind of a pseudo Decade we talked about at the time, where he can kind of become all these other writers, just like Decade can kind of travel to all their worlds and kind of take over their powers and stuff. So he's in the actual movie, which is super cool. And Shade says that according to the movie info pamphlet, after meeting Decade, Kamen Rider Legends cards suddenly transformed into a variant that resembles the Decade Rider cards as well. So Shade says the guests are taking the extra step to make him more similar to Decade, and seeing all this really hammers how Legend is here to stay for the future. So that's kind of neat that they brought back the old Kamen Rider for that. And then Shade has some tidbits from the producer's blog here for us. So we'll go through these kind of quickly. But our episode this week opens with the paranormal experience channel, the occult channel, and we have the host Tachan. So Tachan is played by an actor Takato Nogami, who previously was the magazine editor in the X-Rex episode, and also was a nasty ex-boyfriend in the Zukyun episode. So he's been 3 characters so far in Kamen Rider Gotchard, which is very funny.
Is he 3 characters, or is his character just always in the show?
I guess maybe it could be the same person, but they word it as him portraying different people. He portrayed a nasty magazine editor and then portrayed a nasty ex-boyfriend. So I guess it's up to interpretation.
And then portrayed a nasty YouTuber who is like, fuck chemis, they're evil demons.
Yeah, so it could all be the same person.
Yeah, he's just an angry person.
Yeah. Apparently in Japanese, he said the name of the channel wrong. He called it the Paranormal Phenomena channel, and it was actually the Paranormal Experiences That Really Happened channel. So I guess the script was wrong, but in post-production, they put comments in the stream chat that are happening where people point out that he said the name of the show wrong to address it, which is very funny. Yeah. The villain who becomes the Venom Dake Malgam is played by the same person who portrays the human form of Gamel, who is the gray greed character from Kamen Rider O's, which is an interesting connection there to another show we're watching right now. The yellow shirt bad guy who gets in a fight with Hodoro this episode is the suit actor who portrays most of the Malgams, which is cool. So he got to be out of the suit, kicking Hodoro's ass this time instead of in the suit, kicking Hodoro's ass. And if you didn't know, but I think it's pretty obvious, the clothes that Garion dresses Atropos in the show are supposed to be Kudo's clothes from when she was a child, and obviously he gives the book as well that she had when she was a kid. He's kind of recreating that scene that Kudo had, the experience Kudo had with her dad. And during the costume fitting, I guess they talked about making her hair more similar to Kudo's as well. but they decided to end up not changing her hair. They couldn't quite figure out how they wanted to make it. So her hair stayed the same, but her clothing changed. And then again, I think that this is obvious from watching it, but the people that break into the Alchemist Academy, the kind of like reporters that come in, are intended to basically portray the concept of like IRL streamers that Japan has had a problem with recently, of just like getting in people's face and bugging people and stuff like that. So that's what they're playing off of, is the IRL streamers that Japan currently hates with
Perfect.
a passion. So yeah. So yeah, Shade, thanks very much for the email and all of the good information there. Of course, we talked about the Patreon before. Excuse me. And if you are in our Discord, because you are a patron, we do have a questions chat over in the Discord called Episode Questions. And you can post questions there for us to answer too. And we do have a couple of those this week. First comes in from Charlie. Charlie says, since Toby is threatening to delete the questions channel, I gotta ask a normal question. So, like, what's your guys' favorite Kamen Rider? Not just Gotchard, it can be any writer from any season. So let's say seasons that we've watched together. Let's stick it to that. So things that you've seen so far. What's your favorite Kamen Rider, Toby?
Does like Keiwa count as a Kamen Rider, or are we just saying the show?
No. K-Walk counts for sure. Yeah.
Does Baroba count?
She never technically was like, did she go by Kamen Rider? Was she? Yeah, she was Kamen Rider Baroba. Yeah.
I'm going Baroba then for sure.
I think she counts. Yeah.
if we're gonna count her, she was my absolute favorite. Like, I guess we call her like a side character. Much like when we watched X-Aid, like I thought Nico is like Baroba, just not demonic and still kind of like the pissy, annoying girl, which is like apparently like the vibe I go for, I guess.
Apparently, yeah.
But if we're doing real Kamen Riders, I think X-Aid's definitely like my favorite, probably followed up by like Black Sun, because like Black Sun doesn't really have personality, but the show itself I think is my favorite.
Yeah, Black Sun is kind of a blank slate, really. That character, he's interesting. Like you can read into, he mumbles a lot. Yeah, you can read into what his thoughts would be, I feel like, because you know the things that have happened to him, but he doesn't necessarily like portray those very much, which is, also all part of the character. Yeah,
like he's kind of like a wall. Like I know he cared for the girl whose name I forget, but like he even like do like real dad caring stuff. It was just like, I'm making sure you survive, and then she was upset when he killed her, she killed him, or how that combination was. Apparently I blocked out most of that ending because it didn't make sense.
Apparently.
But like I mean, just style wise, like Black Sun I think is my favorite, just because of the gory horror shit that you sold me on, of like, we should watch this because no one else is going to watch this with me. And I was like, yeah, horror movie Kamen Rider, it's the best.
Yeah, we got to check out like the Amazons one too, because that's sort of the next, not the next, but was it? That might have come first. I can't remember the order. There is another like adult Kamen Rider series that they've made.
Yeah, like that one was for like I want to say it was actually for Amazon, wasn't it?
Yes, it's like the follow up to Kamen Rider Amazon, and it's called Amazons. But yeah, you might like that one too. For me, writer that I like, so I really like Dan Kuroto, but more the character, like the person, and not so much his writer. Like I think the zombie stuff's okay, and I think the life stuff is fun and interesting, but he's not like my favorite writer design. He's not that great in terms of like when he's an actual Kamen Rider. So of what we've watched, I think Kamen Rider that I like the most, sort of all around, has got to be Buffa. I think he's my favorite. Because at first, he wasn't my favorite when we first started the show, but he grew on me so much as a character to become like probably my favorite from that season. And from a writer standpoint, he's got such a cool outfit. All of his upgrades are awesome and just keep getting cooler and cooler. Just all around, I think he just like exudes coolness with his chainsword and stuff. Like, if you want to show someone something to get them excited about what Kamen Rider is, I think like a Buffa edit would be a good thing to start with. So that's probably my pick from what we've watched together is Buffa. That might be my answer, like overall too. Now that I'm
There you
thinking about it,
go.
yeah. Our next question comes in from Liv. Liv says, realistically, what would it take, Patreon tier or donation goal, to get y'all to do a series of some toku throwback summer blockbuster full length movie watch alongs? First thing that came to mind was the 2017 Power Rangers movie or the Turbo Power Rangers movie, but I'll take some Shin Ultraman or Shin Kamen Rider 2. And then edit, I just realized I think y'all had your Megaforce watch through cut short due to copyright infringement before you got to see the big finale at the end of season 2, which they have since made into a 55-minute movie called the Legendary Battle Extended Edition, which would be really fun to see y'all revisit after 10 years. So, Toby, Liv wants us to watch some movies. What do you think about that?
Hey, let's watch some movies at some point.
Yeah, I'm
need
totally
some
down.
need some downtime, but sure, it's a good Patreon.com activity for only $3 a month.
Indeed.
Where you can make suggestions to us too of like, hey, watch this, and then we watch things.
That might be a fun thing to do. Well, we can do one sooner than this, but like might be a fun thing to do too, like between series that we're watching, like when a series ends, like we can just take like a week or two to watch a couple movies instead before we start up the next thing. That could be fun.
That we'll take that under advisement, but that seems like a good way to do it.
Yeah.
Once O's is over, we'll O's watch some movies.
Yep, indeed. But I think those are all good movie suggestions. So have you seen that 2017 Power Rangers movie, the like reboot where they kind of were restarting Power Rangers? They had like metal suits and new kids cast, and it was a little bit more adult.
I vaguely remember the outfits. I know for a fact I never watched it.
Okay. That movie I think is better than people gave it credit for. I liked it when I went to see it in the theater. I think it was a weird thing where like people went expecting Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, and like it wasn't close enough to that, so people who really wanted it to be very specific to Mighty Morphin Power Rangers didn't get that, so they were upset. And then I also think like it was still two Power Rangers for the people who didn't really want a Power Rangers movie, so people were upset from that. So I think like if you just kind of want some fun like tokusatsu themed movie going experience, I think it was actually pretty good. I think I like that movie, but it has been years now since I've seen it, so it would be fun to revisit that one. Toby, speaking of revisiting things, let's revisit our thoughts on Kamen Rider Gotchard episode 46, shall we?
Yeah, that one worked. That was pretty good for a segue.
Thank you. I find it's especially good when we point them out and talk about them after I do them too. So beginning this episode, Toby, there's some big things that happen in this episode, but we do get we started to see it last episode with the VTuber, and we get that continued this episode because we have that paranormal experience Tachan guy who is explaining to the world what a Kemi is. So kind of laying it out to people, and at the same time, we sort of get the I guess kind of like the memories returning to people in mass about their interactions with chemis, which I think is pretty cool when all those memories come back. Like someone's just like, oh my gosh, like a bike without a rider almost hit me, and like I got
I saw
attacked by a monster.
UFOs.
Yeah, I saw UFOs. And then a couple girls are like, we loved a dude named Zoo Pyre.
Yeah, everyone remembering him was definitely one of my favorite. Like, out of all the little throwbacks of like, hey, this was a thing, that was my favorite one of them. Of like, hey, we loved him because he's still like one of the most ridiculous characters I think we saw in the show.
Yep.
I definitely liked the YouTuber making the dumb case about how horrible chemis are versus the VTuber.
Uh-huh.
It seems a little more human, as some would say. And then it's actually like they keep doing big zoom outs of like, look at all these people that all had their mind wiped, and like never really thought about it because like we just saw in Bully Kajiki about it a bunch, or like a coach or a wrestling guy or all singles. But this was like, hey, look, it's like Shibuya Crossing, right? That's the big one.
Yeah,
Shibuya.
that's the
Yeah,
that's the big, huge, crazy one. Yeah.
yeah. So like it's like wow, there's literally like 700 people here, and they all had their brain wiped at some point. I guess chemis have been around for a long time, and they've really been fucking with people for a long time. And like, it's actually cool to think about the actual scope of what's going on here versus just the small group we always see.
Yeah, I think they do a good job with scale here because, you know, I guess one of the silly things that I'm not sure I actually like, but they also say that the digital world has been restored as well. So like all these like pictures people took and videos people posted are suddenly back online because alchemy matches up with the digital world, I think is what they say, which is a weird hand wavy explanation for that. And honestly, like I hadn't really thought about the fact that like, oh, how did they get minds wiped before people were able to like post pictures or like go live with video of chemis and stuff? Um, so apparently they'd been wiping the internet this whole time as well, which I didn't even realize was happening. It's a weird. I feel like that's a weird thing to have brought up because it's just one of those things you can just poke holes in a bunch. But anyway, it one thing that did do well when they kind of are like scrolling across the board in the alchemy headquarters of just like, oh, the scale here is huge. Like
Yeah.
you said, so many people have been touched by this and are involved in this, and it's like nationwide news that chemis exist and monsters exist and stuff. That was cool. I think they did a good job at that. Of course, the alchemists are freaking out. um, I think Minato says basically like, "Oh, this is too much. We can't. This is just happening. We can't just mind wipe these people again." At some point,
There's too many people.
too many people here. Um, and then we head out into the world after we get the realization that people are getting their memories back. Of course, Hodoro is kind of excited about it, but also like it's too soon. It's what he says. Like, oh, this wasn't supposed to happen this way. This is too fast. Like people are going to be freaking out.
There's a
And
gang who wants to punch Hopper right in his stupid face, and that's the greatest gang of all time.
the gang wants to steal Hopper. They want to steal the chemis in general because the gang wants to turn themselves into Malgams, which again is awesome. Like as a premise, like, oh, everybody's scared of monsters, but then the bad people want to become monsters is very cool. So they're looking to steal Nijigon and Hopper 1. Fight ensues as expected, and we get a returning guest. We get Goriki the Golem back, the wrestler from the Wrestler G episode, portrayed by Yukio Naya, the DDT pro wrestler, which I was very excited to see him come back in the show.
My, the best part of like when the gang was trying to steal Hopper, just so they can, it was basically they could take out the cops and not have to worry about cops, blah, blah, blah. I feel like it's extremely, extremely rare that like common riders not in suits fight actual people in
Yeah,
martial arts, or like, well, let's call it combat, I guess, or whatever. Like it's really weird watching an actual gang of adults saying like, hey little kid, I'm gonna fuck you up and take your grasshopper, and then like a Yakuza looking dude like throwing punches at actual just Hodoro, and like Hodoro and Kudo like trying to fight off actual guys. It was weird.
and Hodoro getting bloody and stuff too during it. Yeah, like it definitely felt like the stakes were higher than they were because yeah, it was like kind of a jarring fight to see. Also, I don't know if you remember, Hodoro, like the way that they're filming it looks like they're on a platform that's like really high off the ground. And Hodoro just like kicks these people off this platform. Like he shoves them backwards and they fall over the railing. And then he like punches the next guy over the railing. Then the camera pans down. And you realize that they were like 5 feet off the ground and they're okay. But I thought for sure Hodoro just like murked these dudes for a bit. I was like, yeah, get him. But the Goriki guy comes back and remembers Hodoro, of course, now that all his memories are back. And also he can become the Amalgam again because we learned that last time that you don't have to have the card. You just have to have been Amalgam before. So fighting continues here. And Hodoro is able to spawn a second Kamen Rider Gotchard in Wrestler G form, which is pretty cool. So we get to see the Wrestler G Ant Trooper, whatever, form again. But then Galia shows up, and in one of the coolest moves I think we've seen in the show, she just like grabs Hodoro's arm and slips the Venom Dake card out of his card holder. Just
Yeah,
straight up steals it.
That was one of my notes too. Like she basically, it was more like she called a punch, and then
Yes.
instead of worrying about like punching him back or anything, she basically opened this little like. It's like if you had your Pokemon card binder tied to your stomach, and someone like grabbed you by your shirt and just stole your Pokemon cards out of your chest.
Yeah.
Like it's just the funny. It's like it's just a funny visual and vibe of like I don't actually want to fight you, but since you're a dumb idiot that holds like your most prized possessions on your wrist, I'm just gonna steal them off your wrist real quick.
Yeah.
And then that being tied into the whole thing where like they no more magic powers because Nijigan only works if you have every Kemi was the
Yeah.
fucking funniest thing to me.
Nijigan apparently a massive diva that can only operate if you have a complete collection. Yeah, that was great. You and I have talked about before the idea of like ripping the card out of your Kamen Rider belt while you're henshined is just such a funny, weird thing that shouldn't be possible, but it happens sometimes. And this felt the same way of like, wow, you're allowed to just steal that? I didn't even know you could do that. That's really cool.
But again, though, it's because he's dumb enough to wear him on his wrist. Like,
Yeah.
I guess they don't.
Well, he
I
doesn't
guess
have
for
pockets.
not
What's he
paying
gonna do?
attention. Yeah, I guess not paying attention enough to it or thinking about it. Like, they hand wave away so many other things. I never really thought about like where he keeps the cards and stores the cards during the thing. But like, yeah, I guess the entire time it's always just been his little wrist pack, and
Yeah.
this is what happens.
That's like I think the little wrist pack they sell with the toy,
Oh yeah, of
and
course.
I think they show it when they want to, but then obviously it's not on his character like all the time, right? It's one of those things where it's like when it's there when it needs to be, and it's not there when it's inconvenient, for sure. So it's very hand wavy. Let's see. She gives the Venom Dake over to the kind of main bad guy, so he gets to be Amalgam too, and more fighting occurs here. One thing that's interesting during this battle, which we don't really know the outcome of yet, but Kudo gets like marked by Galia. She gets like a mark on her hand, and she's like, "What did you do to me?" And Galia's like, "Oh, I have to wait for the surprise to play out." So that'll be interesting to see what occurred there. Any guesses?
It's the mark of the dragon, and she's gonna evolve to be the final boss at the end of the show.
Yeah, she hasn't had like a form upgrade, which I feel like she's very overdue for. So maybe this will play into her getting her final form in like the last episode or something. The bad guys retreat, and Galia kind of gloats while sitting on a lamppost, which I thought was a very cool visual. She just like is sitting on top of this lamppost, and she tells Hodoro that like, oh, somebody important is gonna die because of these chemis, and then she pieces out.
I mean, I guess realistically, that's probably the mark. Like, it's one of those kind of like movie things of like, yeah, remember I tagged you X months ago? Like, that was secretly a curse, and now all the demons are gonna come after you.
Yeah,
So it's probably
probably
be the same thing for Kuda. Yeah.
probably true. Kudo has an encounter with Atropos again here, um, where Atropos is like, "Oh, it's been a while, Kudo," and Kudo's like, "Hey, you shouldn't trust your dad." And Atropos is like, "You don't even know what I think."
My favorite part of that was just like they're kind of like in a park or they're under a bridge, and like there's for some reason fences on both sides of the road. So they're kind of dramatically like filming each other through the fences on both sides of the road while they're like kind of scowling at each other and telling each other words. But all I could think of was like if it was a stupid comedy horror movie kind of thing, because Atropos was like standing in the middle of the road. I was like, I wonder if like a bus is just going to come and like smash into her. Like that'd be like the weird, funny like comedy horror move of oh she was standing in the road and of course like something happened. But
Totally, yeah. Just like suddenly, just like in a flash, this bus comes, she's gone. Yeah. What an ending that would be.
if that's episode 50, if they let me know so I watch it.
Then you're in, yeah.
Yeah, then I'm back in just to see that.
She doesn't get hit by a bus this time, but she does get, I guess, dolled up by her creepy dad. She goes back to Garion. Garion gives her a new set of clothes that, as we talked about, look like Baby Kudo's clothes. And he gives her the alchemist book that Baby Kudo had and read with her dad. And then she sits and he reads the book to her. And she just looks so happy because she finally has a father figure. and I feel so bad for her because he's clearly an evil monster.
And it's funny because like tied to that, not that she was doing it in a scary way, but having her smile and look like a happy little child feels real off-putting to me, and I can't put my finger on why. Like,
You're
like,
just
like, 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 it wasn't like she was doing a smile, like "ha ha ha, I'm gonna kill you," like some secret bullshit like thought in her brain. It was really just like this little 8-year-old actress got to smile for once and like look more human girly and not evil Egyptian girly, and just it just felt really weird to me. I don't know
a-
why.
and your brain is like, you shouldn't look human. Like, what is this? What are we doing here? Yeah, totally. It was off putting and no fault of her own. I guess other than the fact that like she's a good actress otherwise, because she's convinced me so thoroughly that she is a scary monster. And then we get back over to the alchemist crew, and we get really a good sort of ending, I think, cliffhanger here in this episode. So we are with the alchemist people, and Spanner has a little confrontation with Hodoro about, our Kemi's good, our Kemi's bad, what should we do with Kemi's? And then suddenly the journalist, the Tachan guy, is back on the airwaves. He's live again, and he this time has the identity of all of the alchemists. So all of our friends, Hodoro, Kudo, Sabi, Renge, Minato, Spanner, even Kyoka. He's got everybody, and he puts their faces up on the internet for all to see. And then even worse, he's right outside their door, ready to bust in, in a real like Chris Hansen uh, experience.
Yeah, like it's it's a genius way to start this last arc, I guess. Like, I guess we'll call it like, I mean, this is most likely the last arc of humans versus chemis before it's human and chemis being friends. But like in the beginning, when Hodoro followed Kudo, she had to make magic steps with her ring
She did.
to
Yeah.
get into that building, right? That's where
Yep.
she went.
Yep.
So even if the people followed them, how did they get into the building? Like, I mean, like, let alone like the whole vibe of, hey, evil whoever broke into the hero's lair is good, interesting, like it's done, but like it works, especially with this simple one. But it never seems so simple where like a news crew and like 50 morons could just walk into the alchemy academy
Yeah.
because you needed magic to get in there. Like the key was literally alchemy.
Yeah. It would be one thing if they like ambushed them as they were getting ready to go in there, but it is very funny that they were actually inside the thing that required alchemy reforming things as stairs to get up into it and stuff. Yeah. Maybe they brought a ladder. Maybe they didn't need the stairs.
I don't think there was a door either, but sure. I, I
Yeah.
guess I'll I guess I'll hand wave this away too, like I have to do in the line of the show.
It was silly. I do like the concept though of like now all their faces are known and like all the stuff that's going to throw at them. I think that that's going to be cool going into the next few episodes.
Like that's actually good, and like the way this worked, I feel like it doesn't work if we were in a different generation of life. Like a normal news crew trying to get in there, I don't feel like would feel the same as like annoying YouTubers live streaming. Like, I mean, like we said, like from Shade's thing of like, hey, they don't, the IRL streamers are really annoying and people don't like this shit. But like, it gives you such a visceral response of like, look at these annoying clowns that are just YouTubers like busting into the alchemy place.
Yeah, totally. Uh, it's funny. It works. It's good. I like where we're going with it. Um, and then, of course, Spanner saw his mom was one of the people. So he runs over to her. On the way, he finds some adults harassing a little girl over a Kemi plushie, and he kind of saves her,
We
which
didn't,
is
but he didn't know it was a plushie at first. He thought there was some new Kemi. And then like,
so did they.
well, yeah, I mean, they're idiots. But like, starting from that moment to the end of the episode of the Spanner arc, was so wild to me because from his response with the little girl who just wanted her little hopper plush, which I'm pretty sure I could buy from a store right now if I wanted to.
Pretty sure.
But if I like from that and his experiences with the little kid in like the dark or the anti alchemy lab and everything else, I expected that to be his nudge the other direction of, you know what, humans and chemis can get along because when this little girl's scared, she wants to hug Hopper so she feels better. But instead, he swerves it the other way
Yep.
of like, no, people can't be trusted with any of these little fuckers. I'm just gonna kill them all.
I think it will be his turning point. I think they'll flash back to that scene as his ultimate turning point to come back to Hodoro's side. But you're right. It was interesting to give him that moment um, right before he does the hard turn the other direction. Weird, a weird choice. But you know, kids are his Achilles heel. It seems he definitely has a soft spot for a cute kid. I think.
Yeah, and they at least did a good enough job of like his ending ran. Or I guess so what happens is Spanner's like, yo, we can't trust chemis. I'm closing the Alchemy Academy. The ministry's fucked. We're not going to trust them anymore. I'm the Uber boss. And by the way, as Uber boss, Hodor give me all the chemis because I'm going to fucking destroy him. And like there's people with him and they're like, are you sure you know what you're doing? And he kind of looks away and he starts doing the Kingdom Hearts darkness is coming back outside of him that we haven't seen for a long time.
Uh-huh.
But like they wrote it still in a good enough way where I guess this can all be part of like a clever plan for him of like, no, I just took over because they sucked. I told you to bring all the chemis here so we could protect them. And now we're going to do some other crazy magic thing. So I feel like it still works both ways.
Could
He'd
be
still be
interesting.
okay.
Yeah, it could be that. I don't think we'll get that swerve. I think this is like a legit thing that he'll have to be talked out of. But it'd be interesting if that was the swerve that like, no idiots, this was my plan the whole time. But leading out, so the thing that like pushes him over the edge of like, no, I'm gonna be the king of all alchemy instead, is he goes finally and finds Kyoka and she's been like beaten up and her whole place has been ransacked because her face was on the stream and everyone came to attack her. And that was, of course, anything to do with his mom, his fake mom, his adoptive mom. He's just gonna go hardcore over the top about.
Yeah.
So that's the pushes in here. I thought that the like little broadcast where he gives the announcement was also really good. I liked that a lot. Of just like, people of the world, I'm sorry that you've been treated this way, but now chemis will be disposed of. Like I thought that was a real good like Doctor Doom-esque thing to do. It was pretty good.
We've wiped all your minds, and I've been thinking about it today, and I'm sorry about that. To make sure it never happens again, I'm just going to burn all these stupid cards.
Yep. I also really liked earlier in this episode too. It's a funny, again, a funny hand wavy thing that they had to do. So in order to allow for Spanner to easily take over the alchemy academy, alchemy union, whatever, off screen, really without us seeing much of it, they had to drop a line earlier in the episode that you maybe didn't even notice, where Minato at one point says like, "Oh yeah, all the alchemy heads are gone. They like left town basically when all this started." he had to explain away the fact that like, yeah, those guys aren't there anymore, so like it's ripe for the taking.
Also, with that, I forgot to mention it before. There was a part where they did like a Minato flashback of him growing up, and he was like little Hodoro, and I thought that was cool. That like that's why I think he gave Hodoro the chances and stuff, or that, unless I misread that scene.
Oh,
But
that's not him. That was back when we first got the Garion backstory. That's the guy who it was one of Minato's students,
okay,
and he nurtured him and he told him like, yeah, you're right, like this, you can do it. Chemis can live with humans, all this stuff. And then that's the kid, excuse me, that Garion like killed or whatever. And remember, Minato had the whole thing about like, oh my god, he died because of me, like I killed him.
oh
And
yeah, okay,
it's that kid, yeah.
okay, makes more sense. Thank you.
So yeah, they're finally bringing that kid up again now. I think they actually did that maybe in the last episode too. They showed him very very briefly. But yeah, we're because that's fully Minato being like, you know what, I was right to support that kid, and I'm doing it again.
I still believe this dream of we can all get along. These little things are cool.
Exactly. But yeah, I think that, this was a good episode. I liked a lot of the things that happened in it, just like, in general in the episode. But then kind of where they set us up for the rest of the season is super fun. Like all the identities are out there. No, everyone knows who these people are, and Spanner's a bad guy. Is crazy. I love where we're going in the
Right at
next
the end.
episode. Yeah. Because now we'll
And
have a
especially
couple episodes of sorting this out.
and especially too, like the ending of it, like especially with like the Spanner flip, like when K-Law went evil for those couple episodes in Geats, it felt stupid and just there just to be there. Like Spanners feels like this was secretly brewing the entire series. Like he at least
Yeah.
had moments in the beginning of like, no, I don't really like you kids. Like I'm better than you. We're not really friends. Like back when they did when it was more triangly between him, Hodoro, and Kudo. Like he's more like that old guy again of like, no, my ways are right. We're gonna do what I say. I know better, kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, it totally it fits with his character from the very beginning. Like you see how he gets to this point, um, thinking he's right about things, being a loner, like that all fits. And then they did a good job here, where they don't always do. They like dropped this hint pretty, early on, like a few, episodes and episodes ago, of Spanner having the couple confrontations with Hodoro, of like, no, this will never work. Like your idea is not going to work. Like chemis are tools. Um, so yeah, they dropped that early enough, sort of before this arc, that it doesn't feel out of left field. It feels exactly like what this character would try to do at this point in time, because he thinks he's doing the right thing. That works really well.
Yeah.
Good stuff. It'd be a bummer we're not going to watch that last episode. Then I think it's going to be good.
I might not watch the last two. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Maybe this is enough. Maybe just the maybe just the prospect of like, I think this could turn out well. I'm just going to stop now. I'm going to keep this.
We could stop on the darkest timeline right now and it'd be fantastic. Like realistically. So this is 46. By the time 48 comes out, if those first two Gav episodes come out early, like Spanner should be like full darkness at that point. And 48 will probably end on a downer to set up for the happiness of like the resolve of 49 and 50.
Yeah.
So realistically, like I could stop at 48 where Spanner's like the evil chemi overlord.
Yep.
And it'll be like my Empire Strikes Back. And I'll just never watch the ending.
Perfect.
I'll never watch Return of the Jedi.
We've got it. Everyone out there is appalled, and I think this sounds like a great idea for you.
See, Josh says it now until like in 3 weeks when we start recording, and we're just going to start normal. I'll do my normal joke, and Josh will be like, "Let's talk about the episode." And I'm just going to sit here and go, "I didn't watch it. I don't know." And you just get to tell me about it while I argue.
I mean, I would find that to be hilarious if you did it one time. If every week you sat down to record the show and you're like, "Yeah, I didn't watch the show," it would eventually get annoying. But if you did it one time, I would think it was funny.
Noted.
I'm just enough of a chaos agent to find that funny. Toby, why don't you tell the people where they can direct their complaints to you on the internet?
On Twitter, it's at Life of Tobes, and on YouTube, it's Tobes Plays. I was thinking about making up some different account real quick just to answer that question, but we're good.
You can find me on Twitter at PrettyDeeceJosh, and you can find me on YouTube at PrettyDeece. That's probably good enough. We'll be back next time here, of course, to talk about the next episode, if Toby watches it or whatever. But in the meantime, please check out our Patreon, patreon.com/thecommentwriters. Again, $3 a month gets you access to all of our bonus content, gets you in the Discord, and it's a good time over there. And of course, send in emails. We've got that email address, which is cast@commonwritersucks.com. So send those as well. So once again, that will do it for us for this week. We'll be back next time to talk about Gotchard episode 47. But in the meantime, have a great week, everybody. Peace.